आज हमने दिल का हर किस्सा तमाम कर दिया, खुद भी पागल हो गए, तुमको भी पागल कर दिया। सर सर ओ सर, वी लव यू। गुड इवनिंग, नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं हूं आपका अपना उदय भाईना और मैं लेके आ गया द उदय भाईना शो, अ जय ओडिशा इनिशिएटिव। उम्मीद करता हूं कि आपका हफ्ता अच्छा ही गुजरा होगा। वेल मेरा कुछ खास नहीं गुजरा है। आई एम अ लिटिल बिट अनसेटल्ड बिकॉज ऑफ टू थिंग्स। वन क्लियरली इज the Sushant investigation case. The way things are turning out, it's really nasty and it's kind of getting into my head now. And most importantly, our very own Mahendra Singh Dhoni retired. यार ये जो चीज़ है ना, ये लोगों के साथ बिल्कुल भी जमा नहीं। The way he retired, you know, man of few words, the man who showed the Indian cricket team the way, he made way for youngsters. जीतना क्या है उन्होंने सिखाया था और जीत हासिल करना क्या होता है वो भी उन्होंने ही सिखाया था। सो मेरा तो कल निवाला हलक से उतर ही नहीं रहा है, या मेरा जैसा एक बंगाली दोस्त कहता है निबाला हलक से उतरा ही नहीं। या आई कैन सी दैट ही इज ऑनलाइन एंड ही सेज इट्स द सैडेस्ट डे ऑफ इंडियन क्रिकेट। ऑफ कोर्स इट इज। सो लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, हाउ आर वी डूइंग? सो आज के जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं ये बहुत ही खास है। मतलब पहले तो मैं उनके बारे में बोलने से पहले एक बार कान पकड़ लेता हूँ। कहते हैं कि जो भी उस्ताद लोग होते हैं, गुरु लोग होते हैं, उनका नाम जो है कान पकड़ के लेना चाहिए। ये जो इंसान है ना, he is a true leader. Now I have known him from close quarters. I have known him for close to about a decade and a half now, over 15 years. इन्होंने मुझे उंगली पकड़ के चलना सिखाया, लड़के से लौंडा बनाया और लौंडे से मर्द बनाया। Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about the stalwart and the doyen of human resources, Mr. Prashant Utreja. Prashant was my boss at Reliance Capital and he is the coolest boss I've ever seen in my whole life. An avid book reader, a voracious book reader and a complete movie buff. इनके बारे में जितना कहूँ उतना कम है, इसीलिए ज्यादा वक्त जाहिर नहीं करते हुए उनको मैं लाइन पे लेना चाहूंगा। Ladies and gentlemen, please buckle up and fasten your seat belts and I'm going to reveal some interesting facts about Prashant Utreja. कुछ fun moments उनका मैं बताऊंगा आप लोगों को, हमारे कुछ fun experiences के बारे में हम बात करेंगे and we will also talk with Prashant about how is it that one can take charge of his or her own life before someone else does. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Prashant Utreja to you, and we have already received his request, and there he is. Prashant Utreja, Prashant sir, Subhashish Maji, welcome. You've joined. Hi Shona, Ms. Bargujar, and there you are, sir. Pranam. क्या करूं मैं आपको, मतलब कैसे आपका स्वागत करूं, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है। प्रशांत सर, this is such a wonderful moment for all of us here.
Good evening, Uday. Great to be on your show, and pleasure is all mine.
No, thank you so much, Prashant sir. Thank you so much for taking time out and agreeing to do the show with me. You already have half. It's a jam-packed audience now. The count seems to be running up, and the graph seems to be going up. We have a lot of people from your team who've joined us, and compliments are pouring in. अच्छा सर, एक सवाल मुझे हमेशा से पूछनी थी आपको, और ये मेरे एक बहुत पुराने एक्स कलीग ने बताया था। You just don't seem to age. क्या राज है सर?
I think it is the blessings of all of you, and I lead a happy, healthy life. I think that's it. Talking more about it.
Yeah, and I in fact wanted to tell my viewers here, प्रशांत सर ना सुबह जब ऑफिस आते हैं जितनी फ्रेश वो दिखते हैं, ऑफिस खत्म होने के बाद भी वो उतने ही फ्रेश दिखते हैं। I just couldn't decipher, at least of my 15 years of my corporate life, I have worked for at least 8.5, 9 years under his leadership, and I am what I am today because of him. So sir, uske liye thank you so much for coming into my life and giving me an opportunity to work with you. It's an honor.
Very, very tall words. Very, very tall words. I'm sure none of us are worthy of such big words, but still, thanks a lot to you.
No, sir. Aapka badappan hai. I've always known you as a humble man, a man who's what do you call it? Simplicity personified, if I were to say. That's how I've always known you as. But yeah, so the world has known Mr. Prashant Dutreja as a hard taskmaster. The world has known Prashant Dutreja as a fantastic orator. When he's in charge, he's in charge. He means business, right? But what people don't know is, and what most of them don't know is, you might have had a Farhan Qureshi moment in your life. Now, the reason why I'm referring to a Farhan Qureshi moment is you are an engineer. You are a civil engineer. You did your engineering from Punjab. And then suddenly one fine day you woke up and you said, let me do an MBA in HR. So was it a Rancho moment or was it a Farhan Qureshi moment for you?
No, I think it was neither of them. I think it was Lieutenant Karan Shergill moment for me. So many of you, as Uday said, I am a great movie buff, and there is a movie called Lakshya. Many of you might be knowing. So this is about a Kargil war way back in 1999. And for me, this decision was quite simple. Like many of us who don't come down having God blessed us. Now, Sachin Tendulkar, knowing that he has to play cricket while he was in teens, and a lot of people get to know that what do they need to do very early in their life. I never had that moment. While I was doing my engineering, people used to ask me, what is the purpose of your life? I said, I don't have answers. I used to get asked, what is that excites you? What is your passion? I said, I used to say sleeping, looking at movies, etc., etc. So I did not have answers. But the only answer which I had was that I don't want to work on too many variables. Okay, many of us would want to live a simple life. And I said, let me do higher education in business school. And obviously, I should do my studies from a school which has high standards. So fortunately for me, I landed up at Symbiosis Pune. And at that point of time, the faculty which was very famous in Symbiosis was HR. So I took up HR. So my message to a lot of my viewers, your and my viewers, is that don't push yourself very hard on your life. Not many of us are blessed to know very early in our lives what we have to do. But there will be a moment in your life when you have to redeem yourself in your eyes. And that would be your Lakshya moment. And for the Lakshya moment was when I got into Symbiosis, I did HR. And if you see Lakshya movie, Lieutenant Shergill, now we all know Hrithik Roshan did a fantastic job in that movie.
Right. Right.
He was not very sure about himself in the entire first half of the movie.
Absolutely.
But the second half is all about him doing terrific things, great things for the country, for himself. It was not because his girlfriend pushed him. Yes, that was one of the reasons. But I think he wanted to do something with his life. So and he found a Lakshya in army, in serving for his country.
Right,
so I think I found my Lakshya in 1999 when I got into HR by accident or whatsoever. And I would like to mention my brother-in-law, Siddharth Malik, was very instrumental in getting me into this college. Right. And I think I've never looked back beyond that. Fortunately for me, I found my calling in HR, and I think I have stood fast there.
Awesome. So, sir, in fact, I keep reiterating. By the way, I would want to tell my viewers that Prashant sir is an alumnus of SIBM, Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, which is one of the elite B schools in the country. Now, coming back to the point, sir, I've always wanted to ask you this, and I never got this opportunity. But while we've had a lot of personal conversations over the years, I've always been confused with the fact, and I used to vent out a lot on you as well. So there are a lot of people who, consider HR to be a very thankless job. I have a lot of friends who are also online who mock me and who kind of make a mockery at the kind of work that we do. And let's talk about IT organizations, or excluding the financial services, there are a lot of IT organizations or BPOs or healthcare organizations where HR is not considered to be a function. It is always looked at as a support function, a facilitator who does either recruitment, processes your payroll, or does some sort of engagement activities in the form of either decorating your desks or things like that. But having said that, when you went to SIBM and you thought you will get into HR, what did you envision for yourself? How did you think that you will change things in HR when you got into HR, and with over 20 years of experience in HR, how did you think about, what is the impact that you could create in HR, or what is the impact that HR could have on other teams?
I think it was not all magic throughout. So if I were to talk about the first few years of my life in HR, obviously one had to do a lot of activities. One had to do a number of recruitments. One had to do a lot of engagements, as you discussed, decorate the desk. Right. One had to do a lot of thankless jobs, etc. One had to sit through a lot of appraisals, etc. Normal things which most of HR guys do. I think I was blessed very early in my life. To get mentors who really were able to make me understand the true meaning of HR. Right. Now, Uday, in any commercial organization, there's a give and from them, and you provide value in terms of service or product or experience to them, right? That's a give and take organization have with customers. Right. Now, organizations which continue to thrive over a very long period of time are organizations which are fair to their customers. You give the right kind of experience, value to your customer, and you charge them the right value. So that's fairness. Okay. Right. Similarly, most of the organizations which have continued for a very, very long time are one which have learned, unlearned a lot of things. They have not said that we will do things only in a particular way. They are willing to change with the winds of change, right? So now HR, I have understood from my mentors that HR has a very, very strong role to play, because an HR professional and an HR leader and an HR organization, if they are fair to the employees and to the organization, and they make employees fair to the organization and vice versa, and they help organization to be a learning organization, I think HR would have done a tremendous job in the organization for them to sustain over a period of time. Now, this is all jargon, but let me simplify for many of our fellow watchers. Okay, so HR has to ensure that organization is fair to the employees, so that employees are fair to the customers. And when you have customers who feel fairly treated by this organization, I think there's a perpetuity of the organization. Similarly, if you keep on work around with the dynamicity, make organization a learning organization, I think you will never fail. So these are two things which I was taught very early on. As I said, so many names I have, starting with Piramal, then Godrej, then ICICI Bank, then my various lines of businesses within Reliance Capital. I was so fortunate to have mentors and colleagues like you, which very easily told me that we need to be fair. And I think that has helped me greatly to be successful, to help organizations remain successful. So I think the HR's role is changing far lot. The CEOs, the country managers are expecting HR to be really a strategic partner. I know this this word is getting overused day by day by HR fraternity, but this is really an expectation which CEOs have. In one of the conversations with a CEO of a bank, the CEO said to me that I would want my HR to be my personal guide. I should be able to discuss my personal things with this my HR colleague. I think that's a great statement to have, because if he cannot do that with some other colleagues of his and he can do that with HR, HR has really caught on. Okay. And coming back to my engineering friends, I think when I did HR 21 years back, we were in minority, but now I think a lot of engineers have started getting into HR because it is no longer the job which you said it is. It requires a lot of analytics. It requires to be understanding business a lot.
Right, absolutely. But so there's an interesting question that just popped up on the screen. I will take that up after this question of mine. Now, sir, you spoke about fairness. You spoke about HR being a strategic partner. Well, my personal experience and my belief is it sounds very idealistic. But how do we ensure fairness in an organization with businesses thinking? For example, let's talk about a sales organization. Now, sales organization, the salespeople think that, or the delivery teams think that they are gods because they are servicing the customers. So whatever they say is cast in stone. The way they run the show, the way they want to. How do we, or how do anyone who's wanting to pursue a career in HR ensure that there is fairness in the practices?
Yeah, so the job for the HR guy is definitely, as you said, is tougher. Okay. The sales guy can do a marvelous job in a quarter and probably relish it. Whereas for HR colleagues, you have to be there in the system for a longer period of time, because if you have created a policy, if you have created a process for your line guys to see the fairness of that policy, the advantages of that policy, it takes some time. So the HR's job is not a quarter-to-quarter job. I think it is much more than that. First of all, I think the HR colleagues have to understand that they would have to have more grit, more patience as compared to other colleagues in other functions.
Right.
Having stated that, as I keep saying, the perception about HR has changed over the years. Okay, earlier definitely HR was meant to hire people, recruit people, get people to join, get people to meet up, etc., etc. But now the role of HR has definitely has evolved. Sales guys or finance guys do understand that the HR guy needs to be involved in making business decisions. Okay. You will find that in a lot of business meetings, in annual operating plans, the HR guys are normally around the business. So
right.
The understanding that the HR guy has a role to play, there is an advantage having HR guy along business decisions is here to stay. Coming back, how HR can be seen as fair, there will be a lot of inflection points at the time of rewards, at the time of hiring, at the time of learning, when the HR guy can help the sales guys understand the part of the fairness, that it is not only about between them and the customers. There are other parts of the organizations which also add value to them. Okay.
Sure.
Now, so HR has a great role to play in terms of overall communication. HR has a great role in making others understand the role of HR. To sum it short, it is not an easy journey, but I think many of us are able to reach to that journey by doing things in a right fashion. To begin with, the only thing which I have to tell all my colleagues is you have to put up with the grit. You need to deliver. Okay. Many a times HR doesn't have the right to ask questions because it does not deliver on the promises it makes. Okay. Most of the time, the HR has a habit of externalizing situations, saying that we couldn't do this because the external situation didn't allow us to do that. So unless HR also takes it on itself that it has some delivery to do by itself, they will not be seen as credible. So an HR organization has to build credibility, and then it will be listened to.
Sure. Right. So I'll come back to the question that one of our viewers has asked. He's requesting you to name couple of movies that are good for HR professionals that an HR professional should watch. Are there any list of movies that you have?
Yeah, so I have I'm a movie buff through and through. Okay, so the top of the recall movie which I can suggest for HR guys is about the 12 jurors. Like for example, I would also explain why I like that movie such a lot, because
you're talking about the Hindi one or the English one?
No, I know there's a difference between the Hindi and the English one, but
right.
I am more a movie buff for the Hindi one, because there's a movie. And, no, let me ask. Yeah, so I'm seeing Vijay talking about 12 Angry Men. So I'm talking about the Hindi version. I don't know how many viewers know about it. Yeah. So there is a movie which has 12 jurors, okay, and there is a situation where the 11 jurors are very, very clear that the person in contention is the culprit, whereas the 12th juror, by putting up logic and by putting up in his own inimitable leadership style, is able to convince in the next 2 to 3 days that this client is not actually a criminal. Okay, so in that sense, ek ruka hua faisla. Yeah, somebody wrote that. I think so ek ruka hua faisla is something which I will urge each one of you to see, because I think I in that 12th juror, I look up to myself. I say that awesome. If I would have been there, I would have exactly done the same thing. So this is one movie. Yeah. Please go ahead. Is there any other movie that you want to talk about? The second movie, my favorite is again Lakshya, because a lot of us many a times are confused about how we should be leading our lives. Okay, as I keep saying, don't beat around the bush. There will be an inflection defining moment for you when the destiny will decide for you, and you would have to look up to yourself. So Lakshya is again a favorite of mine. Third is I love all the 3 Godfather series. Okay, so it has so many examples, so many incidences which one can easily relate to, not only in your professional life, in your personal life as well. Like for example, not many know that Don Corleone in the first Godfather movie said, you are an average of 5 friends with whom you hang out with. Okay, now so that's so awesome. Okay, because if as a leader you don't surround yourself with people who are better than you, okay, then you're not going to unlearn and learn something new. Okay, so I think similar goes for organizations. Similar goes for your family. If you don't allow your kids to sometimes overpower you in terms of their thought process, as a family, you're never going to get better. Okay, so again, and so many examples with that movie. Now, nobody likes the eldest son, Sonny Corleone, because he was the bad boy there. But there's a dialogue which he says. Somebody asked him that when there's a problem, what do you do? Okay, and this guy says, go to the mattresses. Now, this is one sentence which I don't know how many of us would remember that. The guy says, go to the mattresses, and his point was that hunker up till you get a solution. You might not get a solution immediately for a problem. You might have to sleep over it, and maybe the next day would be a better day. So many things. Pursuit of Happiness. Somebody wrote that again. Yes. I'm a big fan of Pursuit of Happiness, and so many learnings out of it. Never give up. Never give up. Absolutely. So some of these movies, I again like Jab We Met. Okay. I'm sure Kareena Kapoor watches that movie, and she might be telling herself she's so awesome in that. And absolutely. in one dialogue of hers, somebody asks, the hero asks that how does she get out of a problem, and she says, I am my own favorite. Okay, and it's not it looks like a selfish statement, but it's such a true statement, and this is what I am also. I love myself, and every day I get up, I like to be in front of the mirror, and the mirror tells me, and I like talking to the mirror, and mirror tells me that what more we can do. So
Right.
I think one should not push oneself too much, and you will get solutions to your problems.
Absolutely. In fact, it took us one pandemic for the entire race, human race and mankind, to realize that there's so much beyond money and struggle and stress, because survival in itself has become the key in this entire phase, right? Today,
Yeah.
we have so much of money, we have so much of, what do you call it? We have so many luxuries at our disposal, but there's nothing that we can use. All we are doing is stuck up at home, stuck to those four walls, and are even scared to move out to the balcony for the fear of getting succumbed or getting corona, for that matter. But sir, before I move on to my next question, I actually wanted to ask you, has there ever been a Ek Ruka Hua Faisla moment in your life? If yes, what did you do? How did you convince people? Because Ek Ruka Hua Faisla, I want to tell my viewers again that it's about 12 jurors, in which 11 jurors are of one opinion, and there is one juror who ends up convincing the other 11 that he is not guilty. So has there been an Ek Ruka Hua Faisla in your life, moment in your life?
Yeah, not so in that dramatic fashion as we see in a movie, but definitely there has been, and sometimes I feel that we were able to deal with the situation in a right manner. Okay. Way back, not right to name the organization, we had a situation where any organization goes through that situation when you have less number of resources, when because of situation in the market and situation inside, you are supposed to have, okay, and most of the organizations, they end up looking at cutting and chopping, and they think about how we can rationalize resources and do with lesser number of resources. I think I went through one such scenario in my career, in my life, and fortunately for me, there were some leaders who were able to give some business idea which could actually change the dynamics of the game. Okay. And it was not me in that Ruka Hua Faisla, one juror, but there was somebody else. And I could suddenly latch on that I need to support this idea, because I really thought that this idea could mean becoming bigger and greater at some point of time. And I think between both of us, we turned the tables for the rest of the 8-9 senior guys, rather than taking a particular decision, which would have meant probably consolidation of some form. We generated a business idea. We got the support of the business idea, and we made it big. So I think that was my Ruka Hua Faisla moment, where I thought in a moment of 2-3 hours, we changed the decision which was supposed to be taken on that table, and we could yes. It required a lot of our support. We had to reskill a lot of people into different domain. We had to communicate a lot. We had to tell people that we are at a threshold where if they don't do this, there will be other sort of things for them. But I think we envisioned a lot of people. We told them that this needs to be done, and we got a lot of support from people. So I think that was one big moment for me.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome, sir. So, sir, in one of your responses, you spoke about the particular protagonist of Ek Ruka Hua Faisla, and you used a very interesting word saying inimitable leadership, right? So, one of the key reasons why HR as an organization has the highest respect for is because of the kind of leaders it creates, or the kind of leadership drives it, the drive for leadership within the organization. So what is leadership for you? How would you define leadership, sir?
So two names which come to my mind, and I hope they are not political names, because, and then I'll explain why I took these two names. One is Mahatma Gandhi. I think our generation and generation to come, they are more adept at seeing what are the fallacies of Mahatma Gandhi. I would not comment on that. Second is Hitler. Now, if you look at these two people, they made big nations and their people move into the direction of the vision or the idea which these two guys shared. Okay.
Right.
Now, a leader or leadership is all about making lots and lots of people buy into your story of an idea. The story or vision cannot be a vision to make yourself wealthy. Right. That vision or an idea has to, that vision or a story has to be to make an idea great. Okay. Right. So I truly call somebody as a leader who gives an idea, visualizes an idea, and makes all people jump around that idea. So that requires a lot of communication. That requires you to show a lot of passion for that idea. Obviously, you have to make people realize what is in it for them for that idea. Okay. Like, for example, if Mahatma Gandhi could invoke to millions of Indians that if we were to attain Swarajya, it will make their lives better. Okay.
Right. Right.
We know he did that in his own manner. And similarly, Hitler could make millions of Germans get into war with the entire world, because he told them that this will make them infallible. Okay. So I think leadership is all about getting a lot of people understand your story, buy into your story, buy into your vision, and there has to be an idea. Okay.
Right. Right.
The work of a leader, the job of a leader is not only communicating that vision, is also to remove obstacles for the people who are actually making that idea work. And rest is the process. I think I can go on and on, because leadership is something, is one of my favorite subjects. I could go on and on. But I think two things which come around is you have to remove obstacles for your people, because obstacles will come while making an idea big, and you have to actually make people jump around your idea.
Right, right. So I have a couple of names in my mind, and I wanted to know your perspective about.
Like again, if I were to, I'm sorry, I'm in my trail chain,
no, please go
ahead. Again, if I were to go back to Lakshya movie, okay, one of my favorites, and if you were to see Amitabh Bachchan, okay. Now, this guy was not the one who put up the Tiranga on Tiger Hill. He made Lieutenant Shergill do that. But I think his envisioning of the idea was so great. Okay, there was a time when probably the leader could have given up. Amrish Puri, his commanding officer, brigadier, was telling him that your unit is very tired. You have to move out. But this guy says, no, give me chance, give me time. And I have brave boys. And he envisioned it. And he removed the obstacle for his guys. And rest is history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a couple of names with me. And I really want to know your perspective on what you think are their leadership styles, right? And and I'm sure you're aware that we've had a very sad day yesterday. Mr. Dhoni, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, retired from international cricket. So how would you, if you were to compare between Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Sourav Ganguly, what according to you are these two chaps? I mean, what kind of leaders are these guys?
Yeah, so situations throw different kind of leaders and leadership styles, that we have to agree. So it doesn't mean that the leadership styles are common for all kind of times. Okay, if I were to say that you needed Mahatma Gandhi for getting independence, but whether he would have been a great prime minister, we really do not know, right?
Right.
So the leadership styles are apt for the times in which we live. Similarly, I think both Saurav Ganguly and Mahendra Singh Dhoni are great leaders, and I'll explain why. But they were in different timelines, and I think they did wonderful jobs in those timelines. Saurav Ganguly was at a time when I don't think Indian cricket looked up to itself, that whether they can win matches, and they had the zing was missing. Okay, people didn't know that they could actually win. Okay, because it was way after 1983. So Kapil Dev era, and then later on, and when Saurav Ganguly became the captain, there was a lot of things which were out there. So I think what Saurav did, he seeded something which I call passion. Okay, he made everyone realize that we could win. We could win straight away from our passion. So he built that confidence that skills everybody has. You just have to put your passion. You have to just go and play your game. And I think that was very, very important. And he could even push people like Sachin Tendulkar, who's a maestro, and he said we have to win. And through his indomitable style, through his passion, through his confidence, through his energy levels, through his never die attitude, I think he was fearless. He was fearless, and I think that is what he brought in the team. So I think that was very important at that time for cricketers to realize that we could win. And what he did in England, everybody knows. And I think doing that in Mecca of cricket, making Indians win back in Mecca of cricket was something which brought back the confidence. So I think that was a leadership style, a lot of fire, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion. I think Dhoni is an epitome of leadership for me, because though he got a gifted team from Saurav Ganguly, making it a finishing team who not only wins matches, who from day one is seen as a team which will definitely enter semifinals and finals. He created that kind of aura, because the team started realizing that we give any kind of numbers to chase to Dhoni's team, this team is going to chase that down. Okay, so I think he was a fearless guy. He brought a lot of processes within the organization called cricket team. He had a very meritocratic lens, if I were to use that this thing. So I think he brought a lot of processes. He was somebody who gave a lot of support to his team. He removed obstacles. Any problem which will come up, he will take it upon himself. He will not name anybody who he think was a weakling. He will do that in his own 11 ka group. Okay, he will tear them apart. But I think outside that, he will take all the blame game. So I think he's an epitome of leadership for me. Great loss for Indian cricket, but I think the show must go on.
Right.
He's a great finisher. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, that's what Sayan also seems to be saying. He's been harping on that. He's a great finisher, great finisher. So let's talk about two different individuals who have given us organizations, who have given organizations to this entire world, which are considered to be the, what do you call it? I'm falling short of words. But so let's talk about Steve Jobs and Jack Welch.
Wow.
Right? These two people created probably the best organizations in the world, right? So what kind of leadership? So one is supposed to be both are cutthroat, both are supposed to be ruthless. But do you see any difference between the two and their approach?
Let's get on to the similarities first, because I think it will be easier for us to understand. I think both of them clearly had end objective in mind. Okay, you rightly said both of them are or were ruthless leaders. Okay, they really knew what is the outcome they desired. For Apple, Steve Jobs always said that he wanted it to be the most innovative organization, and he was vying for it. And he had a game plan which was very clear in his mind. What does he want? For Jack Welch, again, he knew that he wanted his organization to become very, very large organization. It has to be in top 2 or 3 of the product or geography they are going to be in. So I think both these gentlemen were very clear what is the outcome, what is the end objective they wanted to have. And that is what most of leaders have, uncanny imagination. They somewhere know that what they are going to lead their organization to, and they are so purposeful towards that. They are so pushy towards that, and both of them are very, very pushy leaders. So these are the similarities. I think, as I said, they knew the end game. They were very pushy. They were very aggressive with the people. They removed the roadblocks, obstacles for their people. The difference in style is that Jack Welch, at some point of time, knew that the ideas could come from anywhere. Okay, so he as a leader knew that he was not a very creative and ideative guy himself. Okay, and right. He said, probably I will support ideas, and ideas can come from any geography, from diversity. Whereas Apple, at least in Steve Jobs, I find that he was not somebody who was looking forward to ideas coming from somewhere else. I think he was very sure this is the only way which I would want it to be done. I think that for post Steve Jobs, I think they got a leader which was more open to getting ideas from somewhere else. So that's the difference of styles which I find between both of them. But again, apt for their own times. Both of them were able to create organizations which have so high market capitalization.
Right. So you keep talking about, and that's something that I really agree with you, when you keep talking about overcoming obstacles in life. But the question here is, how does one overcome obstacles in their lives? How does one end up motivating himself? Like, for example, I'll tell you, COVID has struck a whole horde of, the entire human race in a way where people have lost jobs, people are stressed, people are financially, stressed, people are not able to move out. It's taken a psychological toll on them. So how have you coped up with these stresses, and what is the message you would want to give to people who are dealing with such stresses?
Uday, again, I don't work on too many variables. I try to make it simple for myself, and I draw a lot of faith and conclusions from the movies or the books which I read. Okay, so for me, crisis or obstacle is like a dark cloud, and all of us know that the dark clouds, they do not last for a very, very long time. Okay,
absolutely.
There is always a silver lining. It has to give way to something brighter. Okay,
right.
So there has to be a brighter end at the end of the tunnel. So this is what my belief is, that crisis will come in your professional life, in your personal life. But what makes you a better human being or a better professional is how you deal with those crises. How do you deal with those problems? Okay. Now, if you look at a COVID, I see that as opportunity. Okay, so many new things have come in. I was 2-3 days before I was reading, and people said that it has hastened up by 5-6 years the digitalization of so many processes. Okay,
absolutely.
If COVID would not have happened, we would have taken 4-5 more years, 6 years to get over those processes. Right. Today, work from home is a reality, and I don't see that things are falling apart. There are organizations like Infosys, TCS, uh, and manufacturing companies who are saying that work from home is a reality and social distancing is a reality, and we have to work around with it. Okay, I think if COVID would not have happened, we would not have thought about it. So I think
Absolutely.
coming back, you have to see opportunities within these situations. Personally, for me, I think conflicts or problems or crisis is able to tell me who are there for you, who are your real friends, who are your real colleagues, and who are people who are not your true friends. Okay, so this is something which has really helped me to understand. Second, it has helped me to understand that you cannot deal with crisis only through passion. Sometimes you have to deal with a crisis through a compassion. Okay, you have to be compassionate rather than be passionate. Okay, so you have to, as somebody said, adapt, and that's what I think. We need to be compassionate. We need to be innovative, and we need to choose our friends. This is a great time to learn new skills. I'm learning new skills. I'm learning a lot from my 17-year-old daughter, and
Wow.
This is something which is a great example for all of us.
Awesome. So, sir, there is something that is always that's something, and one good thing that I've always learned from you is also about not to conserve wealth, but also create wealth, to multiply wealth, whatever wealth you have. Now, if I were to segregate the entire corporate setup of a human being, right? It's like the 3 stages of Hanuman. One is the Bal Hanuman, young and fearless. One is the middle-aged Hanuman. Then he goes to Lanka after he's told that, he leads an army of monkeys and everything. And then one is the stage of the old Hanuman, where he teaches humility to Bhima during the Mahabharata war and all of that. So if I were to segregate the entire corporate life of a human being, let's say 25 to 35, 35 to maybe 50, and then 50 and upwards, what do you think should be the focus areas for these 3 brackets? What is it that they should usually focus on? Or maybe you can talk out of your personal experience. How did you focus when you were in that particular age bracket? What did you focus on?
I think between 25 to 35, you should not be afraid of taking too many things on yourself, because you are young, you have more energy, and there is nothing to fear. Okay, you have less liabilities.
Right.
So get into as many projects as possible, travel as much as possible, deal with as many people as possible,
Right.
work around with a lot of complex situations, because complex situations, problem situations, crisis will shape your perspective. Right. So right. I feel between 25 to 35, give yourself completely, deal with the situations yourself, get into a lot of complex situations, travel a lot, meet a lot of people. This is what has helped me, because I have gained a lot of I will say personal wealth in form of expertise from my mentors. Okay, absolutely. I worked with so many leaders, and so many leaders have shaped my perspective, because I was never against taking whatever they were giving in terms of challenging assignments. So one should not get overburdened with a lot of work coming your way. 35 to 45 is the time when I'm sure a lot of us start working around with people who are lesser in age and experience with us, and they are looking up to us to shape their careers. So I think between 35 to 45 is the time when one should definitely cross-pollinate and support a lot of ideas, support a lot of people, support a lot of your colleagues. Okay, they require your support. They require you to hear to their proposition. They require your respect. It is not time for you to feel respected. It is time for you to respect their thoughts. Okay. Right. So right. During that time, I think you need to support your colleagues and make them a better professional, help them becoming a better human being. Share as much stories as possible, because I find a lot of people between 35 to 45 start becoming secretive, start becoming sensitive, because they are sometimes overburdened with their own personal situation, and they do not know whether the organization really values their loss of energy. Okay, I think that is the time when you need to give back to your colleagues. You need to, and once you give back to your colleagues, you will find respect, you will find organization willing to support you as well. Between 45 to 55, again, the same things do happen. But I think 45 to 55, I find you start finding a purpose for yourself. You sometimes feel that you have been sent down by God to do something, not only for yourself, also for the society. Now that's a big thing to say. I've just become 46. Okay, so I don't know where my destiny will take me. But yes, this is a time when you start thinking that you need to give back in some form and shape, not only to your organization, not only to your colleagues, but also to the society. Frankly, this is the chat which both of us are having is also my way of probably sharing my expertise with the society at large, because you don't get to do that other than a great colleague like yours calling us and inviting us to share our perspectives.
Right. So, sir, I have, again, I look up to you like my elder brother, and I have seen the way you work, the passion with which you work, the focus with which you work. So much so that if I'm allowed to, sir, एक छोटा सा secret मैं बताना चाहूँगा अपने viewers को. तो प्रशांत सर की वाइफ जो निधि मैम है, वो जब भी शाम को 7:30 बजे कॉल करती थी, प्रशांत सर इतना मसरूफ रहते थे ऑफिस के काम से, वो ना he used to avoid confrontation with निधि मैम, and he used to end up saying कि हाँ मैं निकल गया हूँ ऑफिस के लिए, ऑफिस से निकल गया हूँ, बस घर पहुंच रहा हूँ, ट्रैफिक पे फंसा हूँ. So to a point that Nidhi ma'am started checking with us, office se nikle ki nahi nikle. So I still remember those days. Those were wonderful days. But sir, now you are at an age where probably when you look back at 46 years of your life, what does success mean to you? Because that's a question. That's a question. A lot of us, grapple with. We seek satisfaction. We seek peace. Yes. We seek success, not realizing what is what. So I want to ask you, what is success? What is satisfaction? Or what gives you peace? What gives you happiness? Does any one of these three gives you happiness? And if all three give you happiness, what are those things for you?
Yeah, so I happened to read a book by Zig Ziglar. Again, he's an expert on management and a lot of life perspectives. So this book is called Born to Win. Okay. Now, when I went through this book talks about a lot of ways where you can be successful in life. Okay. And success for some people is different, and for some other, it has different connotations. So I don't think there's a one barometer for success, though I'm sure our viewers would want to have a straight answer to this. Okay.
Right.
For me, I think over the years, I have a very singular definition for success, and that has worked for me. I don't know whether it will work for our viewers. Success is all about overcoming fear for me. Okay. Success is all about taking newer risks and overcoming fear. So how I have progressed and been successful over the life is doing different things, challenging myself to do different things. And so that the day I get up, I should not, after so many years, say that I thought about something, but I didn't try it. So for me, success is about overcoming fear. And yes, it is also about loving and being loved back. Okay, because loving is fine. It is an intrinsic quality. but being loved back is very difficult, because it's so difficult to trust people. Okay, many times you don't open yourself to other people. So two definitions stand with me. It is about overcoming fear, and it is about loving and being loved back.
Awesome.
And this has stayed with me. This works for me.
Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, this is so amazing. I mean, it's so impactful. While you're saying this and while you're talking about these two things, I'm only thinking about that, and I'm internally, it is also kind of stuck in my mind. You know, loving people and being loved back and overcoming your fear. यही तो है, यही दो चीजें तो हैं जो अगर आदमी काबू पा जाए तो बस success तो मिल ही गया. Awesome, brilliant. So for all the people who are watching from various parts of the country, this is a message I want to give you, and this has come straight from my guru's mouth, Prashant sir. For people who are back home in Bhubaneswar and in other parts of Orissa who are scared of moving out of Orissa or scared of going to any other bigger cities, there are only two things that they should focus on. One, clearly overcome your fear, and secondly, your pursuit for wanting to be loved should never end. Fantastic, Prashant sir. Thank you so much for that. And I'm not letting you go without what I call as the Bhaina rapid fire round. I have some rapid fire questions being shot at you at the moment, and you have to give me immediate answers for this. You cannot take time.
Uday, prior to that, one message, and I know after rapid fire I might not have that opportunity. One message for all our viewers is, my life has always been about not overcomplicating the things. Okay, I think try to make your life as simple as possible. Live in the moment, live through your journey, and enjoy yourself, love yourself. Okay, and again, one of my favorite movies, Chak De. Okay, if you see that life will always give you second chance.
Absolutely.
If you look at Shah Rukh Khan in that movie, in the first half, he has done some great things, but there were some unfortunate incidences because of which the country and Shah Rukh Khan himself feels that there is something missing in him. But the life gave him the second chance. So I think we sometimes overcomplicate things. We feel that we have not been useful to ourselves. Life has a very strange way of giving a twist and testing yourself if you really have a metal. So keep creating metal in yourself, keep loving yourself, and don't overcomplicate things.
Right, absolutely. So just in case we get disconnected, it's important that I tell you, I will re-log in and you may have to re-log in because I'm not letting you go without the Uday Bhaina rapid fire round.
Sure.
So there's one more question that I want to take from one of our viewers. He wants to ask you, what is your take on Uday's second innings?
I think I can only say that, and this is my secret for Uday. We have been telling Uday for, I think, a decade now that this is his calling. Okay. He did some fantastic, great job in the field of HR, in the field of leadership, and the organizations, wherever he has worked, I think he has left a true indelible mark there. But I can say with a lot of certainty that this is his calling. I think he is at the right place, and there is no limit for success for him in this profession. So I think we all love Uday,
and there he is. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really sorry. I knew that we were going to cross the 1 hour limit, and that's why it was important that I tell you that we might get disconnected. So sir, are we ready for the Bhaina rapid fire round?
Absolutely. I'm all nervous, Uday.
It's not going to be any controversial questions. It's going to be very simple. Only 6-7 questions that I have to ask of you, and they're really, really simple. So the first question is, and I know the answer for this, and I'm going to put it in my question. Who is your inspiration apart from your father?
I would say Ram Kumar.
Oh, the ex executive director
Yeah.
of ICICI Bank.
Yes. Yes. I think
Awesome.
other than my father, I think this man pushed me to the limits,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I used to be very fearful of him at some point of
The,
time.
the,
But I think,
the world
but I
still
think,
is. The
but I
world
think
still is.
he shaped my perspective. And as I said earlier, between the age of 25 to 35, we should not be afraid of taking too many things on ourselves.
Right. Right.
And I only hope that I can be as pushy as him, because I think it is for the benefit of the youngsters.
Right. Right. So now that you've said Mr. Ramkumar is your inspiration, my next question is going to be, who is your mentor apart from Mr. Ramkumar? And I know the answer for this. I think I know the answer for this.
Yeah, so my father has been my mentor. Okay, in the sense, I have never found somebody who has been as humble, as purposeful as my father. I'm sure all of us look up to our fathers at some point of time while growing up. Having said so, I think he has never let me down as a father. He has never let me down as a friend. He has always been there for me wherever I would have required him. And I can only hope that I could do the same for my kids as well. Because let's say the job of the mentor is not to pass judgment on you, okay, on what you are doing and why you are doing. The job of the mentor is to give you perspectives about how you could solve your situation in a different manner, okay, by sharing their own perspectives without criticizing them. So I think that has been very useful for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, sir, do you still argue with your father on cricketing strategies and matches when you watch together than you used to, or do you still talk about cricket?
Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, not only cricket. I can say that I have made him learn a lot of things. Now he's also a movie buff like me. Now we talk about a
Right.
lot of Bollywood movies nowadays. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Oh, awesome.
let's say
Awesome.
I told him recently to watch a movie called The Intern, and we discussed a lot about that movie. And
This is
it's
the
all about, yeah.
Robert De Niro?
Yes, yes, yes. So so I think we argue a lot as friends now. I don't think there is a space between us where he acts as somebody who dictates things to me. We like to discuss and uh, discuss a lot of issues together.
Right. Right. What are the 3 new things Prashant Utreja has started doing after the lockdown has started?
I think the first and the foremost is, and I have to really give credit to my wife Nidhi here. She has made me run for my fitness and walk for my fitness.
Awesome.
This is something which Uday started sometime back, maybe 8-9 months back, but my wife has really pushed me hard.
Awesome.
वो बोलते हैं ना नाक में दम कर देती है, and she has made me do it. And because of her, I think I've started loving myself once again, because see, you need to have a perfect blend or a balanced blend of your physique as well as your mental health, right? So physical health is so important. Though you might be very gritty, you might have a true mental health, but having a right physical health, you should love your body as well. So I think that is one inspiration which I get from my wife.
Right.
The second thing is I've started binging a lot on movies and episodes, a lot of TV episodes which Uday has been telling me or others have been telling me. So these are some things which I've started doing. Third, I think, I don't know how much my family would agree. I've been able to spend some quality time with my family during this lockdown period.
Awesome.
I think Sanya and Aditya know more bit about me as compared to what they used to know about me earlier. So I think that has really helped.
सर ये ना आप ना ब्रेन्स लगा के आंसर कर दिए. मेरे को तो लगा आप बोलेंगे बर्तन धोने लग गया हूँ, कभी कभार झाड़ू पोछा करता हूँ. But very conveniently you have avoided those responses and you have given us perfect responses. Wow. But yeah. But moving on. So Marvel or DC? Which one would you prefer?
Marvel, because Aditya prefers Marvel.
And I probably know the answer to this, but I'll still push my luck and ask you this: Godfather versus Shawshank Redemption.
Both of them are awesome, but you are asking me to make a choice. I will take Godfather because it has a great ending.
So does Shawshank Redemption. At the end of the day,
yeah,
they both.
Yes.
So, do you prefer comedies or thrillers?
I prefer comedies because yes, there's so much stress all of us carry around our work, and I think comedies are great stress relievers.
Right.
So most of our lives are thrillers.
Yeah. Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So before we call it off and wrap it up, I wanted to ask you, apart from the movies that you spoke about, like Lakshya, Chak De, Godfather, or Ek Ruka Hua Faisla, what are the top 5 movies you would recommend that one must watch before they die?
Oh, there are so many. I think the choices are so difficult, and obviously this will be my choice. I don't want to hurt the emotions of our viewers. So again, I would urge all of us to watch all the trilogies of Batman movies, because again, they are a different kind of genre, but I think they are inspiring because yes, somebody is taking up the role of a good man despite his age or other challenges. So I think Batman series is something which one should definitely watch. Again, Pursuit of Happiness is something one should watch, because again, as I said, life is all about grit. Life is all about never giving up, and Pursuit of Happiness has always taught about that. Shawshank Redemption, as you said, I think I love that movie because again, this is all about two people actually giving support to each other and not letting each one of them go away. So many names come up.
दो हिंदी movies हो जाए, 2 हिंदी movies.
Okay. Zindagi Milegi Na Dobara. So I think I'm a great fan of that movie as well. Okay, because Dil Chahta Hai. Okay, and so these 2 movies are again very inspirational for me. Within the comedy, again Amitabh Bachchan and Dharmendra. I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but that is also an awesome movie. Chupke Chupke. Yeah, I can watch it anytime. So so these are the sort of movies which I love.
Right. And sir, any 3 books that you would suggest that one should read?
Yeah, one is I would urge everybody to read Good to Great from Jim Collins. Okay,
Jim Collins.
This is definitely something which one will love. Okay, Born to Win from Zig Ziglar. I've named that book earlier during your question.
Yes.
And there is a book called Winning by Jack Welch. This is again something which I would urge each one of you to read.
Right. That's it, sir. You fared really well in the rapid fire round. All I can do right now is touch your feet and seek your blessings. I don't have a hamper to give you.
Yeah, I was going to ask my hamper.
No, but ये उधार रहा hamper के बहाने तो मुलाकात होगी जब बम्बई आऊंगा सर आपसे मिलने. And
Sure.
thank you so much. And it is with folded hands. I can't tell you how happy and overwhelmed I am that you agreed to come on the show. I know how camera shy you are. I know when it comes to talk about profession, you are the number one man, but you've always reserved yourself when it comes to camera. I know the kind of preparation you would have done. Knowing you would have started preparing right from the day I told you that you were going to feature on this show, right? And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed. It's like my old days at Reliance were relived, and I know you've always been there for me. And you are my guiding angel. I know I can call you up anytime. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Prashant Utreja, जिन्होंने मुझे एक बच्चे से एक मर्द बनाया. He's been my godfather, my mentor, my inspiration. There is no other word that can describe the nature this man has. And all I can say is, sir, I feel blessed, and I'm thankful to God that we've crossed ways. And he's a man, and it's important. He's a man that I tell the viewers, it's a very emotional statement that he made once to me, and that has stuck to me, that has been with me, and continues to be with me. And I hope, and I, it's not just hope, and I know it will continue to be with me till my last breath. He once made a promise to me that, Uday, अगर मेरे से पहले तू कहीं चला गया, तो दुनिया में कहीं पे भी होऊंगा तो तेरी अर्थी को कंधा देने जरूर आऊंगा.
Yes.
So that's Prashant sir for you. Ladies and gentlemen, please show some love for the man, the force behind the force. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. My love to you. You are our hero. You don't know how many lives you have touched. We all keep talking about you and your leadership. People are your fans. Today they got to see the personal side of you. They got to see the man that you are. And the world needs people like you. And we need people like you. Thank you so much for being there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap from my side, and I will see you again next Sunday. Please keep showering your love. And for all these seekers, job seekers, and all for all those people who want to make a career in HR, this is the man that you would want to be in touch with. You can Google him, you can search for him on LinkedIn, Prashant Utreja. Please add him to your network, and you can always DM him for any queries that you have, and he will only reply to you as and when he has time. That's Prashant sir for you. Thank you so much, sir. Once again,
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap from my side. Stay blessed, stay safe, and sir, we love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.